Log into gyroscopeme.com, the hottest online radio station in the world. GS Radio all day, all night, worldwide. Powered by Gyroscope Media Group, LLC.
GS Radio, the best internet radio station worldwide. Providing the best in music and talk shows. Go to www.gsradionj.com and check out the best internet station in the world. You're listening to GS Radio, internet radio station powered by GMG, LLC.
Soulful House Nation. Get ready. Soulful House Nation. Get ready. Soulful House Nation. Oh yeah. Soulful House Nation. Soulful
Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Dan with Soulful House Nation coming to you live from the 8th floor. Woo! We got another good one today, ladies and gentlemen. We got another good one today. Now, listen to this. First, I'm going to give you a quick overview. I'm going to have our special guest who I'm super excited to have on the show because he's had a major impact on the show. You're going to see why in a few minutes. But listen. We're going to do a quick overview last week. We had a good show last week. And what we're going to do, we're going to play the hottest song according to Track Source. Then after that, we're going to talk about what's coming up, some things that happened. We're going to play a classic. Then we're going to we're going to talk some local stuff. And after that, we're going to get into our interview with our special guest. As you know, last week our special guest was DJ C Justice. Go back and check that out. So we're going to play the number one song according to Track Source this week. It is by Melvo Baptiste. It's going to be all right. Chuck, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Gonna fade it down. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Dan, Soulful House Nation. I'm coming to you live from the 8th floor. So listen to this. Before we get started, I always like to do this, and now I can actually do it, I guess, in Zoom person, if that's a word. We always like to say thanks. I want to thank King T Finesse and Ariel Shante for putting together our theme song. Every week when you hear this song, we got the man who wrote and put the song together on. In addition to that, we got a lot of stuff that happened here. So listen, let me just talk a little bit about some things that are happening and things that happened. Want to give some shout outs. A lot of birthdays. Check this out. Chuck Chill Out. Isabel Cologne, Richard Brown, DJ Tron Ray, Hope Michelle Royster, going to come back to her. Sherry Berry Huff Kennedy, DJ Mukadeen, Kiki Stewart, Dow DJ Real, Babu from Switzerland, Anaya Weathers, DJ Terry Miles, and my cousin, Andrea Wade Hill. So those are some birthdays. Now, some new tracks. We've got Aaron K. Gray's got a new track out called Home Sweet Home. Vanessa L. Smith has a new track out called Everyday Man. And our special guest has a new track out too. A couple new tracks. When we get going here. All right, now, let me just take a minute here. This weekend, I had the pleasure to go to Hope's birthday gala. It was at the Galloping Hill in Union. I need to tell you, you talk about class. I got, well, first of all, I mean, the way she and Naeem do things is always first class. It's always some next level stuff. In addition to that, the place was gorgeous. Everybody was dressed. Everybody was looking sharp. It was really, really nice. As far as it goes, you had Diamond D, who did a tremendous job emceeing, and she was the hostess. And then you have Tyrone Chablis, who emceed the fashion show. Now, I got to tell you, they did their thing, but I'm a little partial. Matter of fact, I'm a lot partial. I'm a lot partial to one of the Chivettes, our own crew member, Cassie. I mean, I was saying earlier to them that I felt like I wanted to go out there and model. I'm kidding. I knew better. Then, on top of that, everybody was there, including who was a personal favorite of ours, and we love him dearly, Aaron K. Gray. And he's got a lot of stuff coming up. He's got a lot of stuff. That's all I'm going to say right now. He's got a lot going on. But he was there. He ran up to the stage, and he gave the big shout out to Hope. We're saying happy birthday to her. And once again, when he ran up to the stage, I almost lost my mind, and I almost started to go up there and I started to grab the mic from him and either break out into a duet or started singing. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I came to my senses. And I said, I'm going to hold off. On that. All right. But we had a great, great time. I mean, so many great people were there. Soulful Messiah was on the decks. And forget about it. I mean, he was killing it. And then he did some stuff. That I haven't seen a Soulful House DJ do. But I'm not going to tell you about it. I said, whoa. It's something I maybe thought about, but he actually did it. It was off the hook. SMB was there. Dawn Soul Lovin' Williams was there. I didn't get a chance to speak to her, but I saw her. AB Absolute was there. Roz Anthony was there. Who else? Steve Davis was there. Oh man, so many people. I know I'm leaving people out, and I apologize for that in advance. But we had just a great, great time there. And hey, listen. Matter of fact, if she wants to do a party next week, I'm there. All right. So that was great. There's some things coming up October 28th. DJ Wakil, Group Paris, Conway Casey, going to be doing their thing for a Halloween thing on the 28th. Also on the 28th, Back to House Beats, Becky Nunez, DJ Doug Gomez, DJ Amir, Ian Friday. It's going to be at the Heaven Lounge in Brooklyn. Then, of course, November 18th and the 19th, SMB, Scorpios Unleashed. That's going to be at the new location, the Holiday Inn and 160 Frontage. On Friday night, it's comedy. Come dressed as you want. Now, a couple of people I've actually seen perform, and they're off the hook. Kenny Williams, I've seen him perform multiple times. Crazy with it. Sleepy Floyd, I've seen him perform multiple times. Crazy with it. Now, Big Mama, I saw on some things, and Howie Bell, I just saw in little clips. But let me tell you, that's going to be a comedy night. Dress any way you want, in terms of your color scheme, that kind of thing. But on the 19th, then that's going to be when everybody comes in black. And you got Raheem House Music on the decks, DJ Mustafa, Soulful Messiah, again, Mark Francis, and Naeem Johnson. Now, do I have to tell you any more? Doors open at 7, show starts at 9. It's going to be hosted by Sage Youngblood. So, a lot of stuff going on. Hey, listen, if you have stuff that you want us to talk about, or say, please send us your information. Send it to Joy, Joi Oliver. You can tag her, email her, post it on her page, whatever. But get it to her, and she'll get it to me. All right. Now, a couple other things, too, I just want you to be aware of. You know, as we move on with this Soulful House thing, of course, you know, we're going inside now. So here's what I want to share with you. It's good that we come to the outdoor events. We need to continue to do that. But we also need to support the indoor events, too, because the indoor events is what carries us through the winter. And as it starts to get cold, we go inside. And in order to keep these events going, they need support, not only with your presence. We love you, but we need you to spend some money. And know what else I'm going to say? My people, tip. Tip. You can't spend $20. A dollar's not a tip. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Come on. Tip. And I got to tell you, too, if you want blessings, tip. Tipping will give you blessings. Keep in mind that the people who work there work for minimum dollars, and they really make their money on tips. So, folks, do not go to places and don't buy anything. And also, too, when you get there, make sure you tip. Tip, tip, tip. Again, you know, even if things are free, give a tip. Give a tip. Anyway, all right. That's just something that we really need to pay attention to. All right. Hey, again, once again, big shout out to all the people who are putting on events. We got a lot of stuff. I'm going to ask everybody to share. Share. Hey, want to play that first track, Chalk? And this is a relatively new track. It's not really an oldie, but it's a relatively new track. It's a good track. It's an inspirational track. Chalk, would you put the track on, please?
They didn't believe in us, but God did. They didn't believe in us, but God did. They didn't believe in us, but God did. They didn't believe in us, but God did.
Yep. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Dan with Soulful House Nation coming to you live from the 8th floor. We have our special guest here right now, King T Finesse. But let me just share one little thing before we get started here. We start asking questions. So I'm going to go back, I don't know, maybe 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was. So Charles Dixon was doing this thing at Bar Louie. And this guy walks in, and I don't know where we would connect, And we just had some chemistry that whatever it worked. You know how sometimes you connect with people and your chemistry works. And anyway, we started, kicking it. And, we have conversations. Meanwhile, he was producing tracks. Then we kicked it some more, kept in touch. Then a little bit later on, I'm doing this thing, getting ready. And he says, okay, I got something for you. And he puts together the track, the theme song, which we've been using ever since, which is the theme song from Soulful House Nation. When you hear it, get ready. I was singing, but I don't want to put him on the spot, That's why I'm going to back off from singing. How about that? Anyway, so listen, ladies and gentlemen, King T Finesse. King T Finesse, how you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good. I'm good to see you. Good to see you. Wow. So listen, let's
ready?
get started.
Ready.
I'm ready. Like I said, sometimes I feel like singing, but I know better. Anyway, at least in public.
That theme song is big, man. It's like it reminds me of like when I see some television shows come on, like a sitcom or something, and you hear that music, and then you get all excited, and then you run to the TV and watch,
Yeah.
So that's how it sounds when I hear it every time,
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for that. Now, also, too, just so you know, we have a Facebook page, Soulful House Nation. Instagram, we're on Soulful House Nation. YouTube, Soulful House Nation. Website, soulfulhousenation.com. So let's get started. And as usual, we're going to start off with the little stuff, the easy stuff. Tell us a little bit about you, King T Finesse.
All right. Well, I'm born and raised in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I went to school in Hillside. And finished high school at Union County Regional.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few years after that, I decided to get back into music because I was into music at a very early age, somewhere around 5 or 6.
Wow.
And I played in the elementary school band, that kind of stuff, percussion, clarinet, saxophone, flute, and trumpet. Okay. So, by the time I got to the high school level, I got an interest in playing the piano. Mm-hmm. But then a few years after that, I took another step further, and I was actually a DJ for a little while. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was into the hip hop, when the hip hop was really heavy, in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. I was into hip hop, so I got a turntable, and some records and stuff, and was just basically fooling around with cutting and scratching in the hip hop scene. Mm-hmm. And then by the late 70s into the early 80s, I got into the classic, soul music and stuff like that. Then house music hit the scene. So, I was like in between kind of doing like hip hop and house music, putting it together, kind of like really mixing it together. So I was known for like making tapes with the combination of hip hop and house music together at the time back then. But I wasn't really out there in the public. So after doing that for a couple of years, like I got kind of bored with it, and then I decided to go to music school, and that's when everything kind of took off. With me just trying to be a music producer, and going into that whole field of producer. Yeah.
Now, how did you get the name King T Finesse?
Oh, the name King T Finesse kind of evolved. When I started writing hip hop, producing hip hop. One of my artists is Brown Eyes, MC Brown Eyes. We kind of connected, and I started writing for her. And the name actually started out as Mr. Finesse.
Oh, okay.
Known as Mr. Finesse, and I was producing, around 2012 for her.
Okay.
And then as I started getting out there, my name started getting around, like in social media, especially YouTube. I noticed that every time I would produce a song and then release it into YouTube, I would see another finesse would come up, a finesse would pop up. Somebody would pop up with finesse.
Oh, okay.
So now you got Mr. Finesse and you got somebody else finesse, and another finesse would pop up. So it seemed like the more the name got into the media, people started to gravitate towards finesse. Gotcha. So then I changed it to T Finesse.
Okay.
So I went there with it, and then somebody came with Finesse T.
Okay.
And then it just started evolving. People started gravitating toward the name. So then I went King Finesse, and then somebody went Finesse King. And I was like,
Okay.
oh my goodness, this is kind of crazy. This name was nowhere out there until I started putting it out there. And then the next thing I know, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go King T Finesse. I'll use my first initial, and I'll put King in front of it, and then just use Finesse, King T Finesse.
Wow.
And that's how it evolved into King T Finesse.
Wow. You know what's so interesting, though, is a lot of times the best things that we do wasn't like we set out on purpose or the course, and things evolve, or this goes with that. Say, wait a minute, I like that, or this go. Okay, so it's funny you used to say that. Well, now, how did you get started with music? I know you started at an early point, but how did that happen?
That happened in grade school. Like when I was in third grade. I went to George Washington Elementary School in Hillside. For those who know about Hillside.
Okay.
And they had a music program, and they had they offered music program for flute, clarinet, trumpet, drums, so and recorder too. They had recorder, you can play the recorder too, if anybody know what a recorder is. And I kind of like took the recorder class, I took the clarinet class in music, and then throughout the course of the week, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, they would pull you out of class, and then you would go learn how to do music.
So what's really powerful about that, just kind of divert just for a moment, just to get your thoughts on it, is that, like, you don't have to be 10, 15, 20 years old to learn how to do it. You can start at a really young age, and as long as you can understand what people are saying, you can really start. I guess that's how you get a child prodigy, because you start them at a younger age.
Start at a very young age, exactly. Most people, it's good to start them at 2 years old.
Okay.
If you start as early as 2, and you learn the fundamentals of music, like you learn how to read, you learn how to write, you learn notation. Those are the fundamentals. If you learn that at a very early age, 9 times out of 10, you will be successful in music. Because when you go up in school, like going through school, music school, back then they taught you how to read and write, but having the rhythm was just as important as well. And a lot of people didn't understand rhythm. They understood how to do notation, but understanding timing and rhythmic timing is just as important.
But you can learn that at an early age, though. Okay, correct.
You can learn that at an early age, yes, definitely.
Okay, yeah. Now, how about your early music influences? Who were some of your influences?
It was a wide range because, my family was a mixed family. I came from a mixed family. So, in my household, we listened to, on the non-R&B side, we listened to rock and roll. So there was a lot of rock and roll being played because my parents were like hippies.
Okay.
So they listened to a lot of Beatles, a lot of Elton John, a lot of Jimi Hendrix, Humble Pie, Peter Frampton. There's a lot of rock going on in the house.
Okay.
But it wasn't until like the mid 70s when I got into R&B and funk. Then the whole Motown sound, Earth, Wind and Fire, that thing like that, But that's how it kind of went for me. We had a variety of music that we listened to in the household, because we had a mixed family. So
got you.
It wasn't just one particular sound of music.
Now so now you've had formal training, and you kind of told us a little bit about your musical background, but how important do you think that is, or is that the last word, or just where does that formal training come into play if you're going to be in the music business, at least on the making music side? How important is that?
Well, I think it's very important. It's always it's completely important to understand what you're doing and how everything fits together based on time, pause, notation, writing, chord structure, harmonization, melody, orchestration, all that stuff. It all relates, and it's very important to understand all these things. If you're going to be a singer, musician, or whatever it is you're going to do in music, it's always great to have a good fundamental understanding of how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, I know there's a lot of people that sing, but they kind of learn. I don't know they have the classical training. I know Lady Alma also had the classical training also. So you kind of reflecting some of the same things that she said. Just
Right.
I see. It's else interesting too, is that as a trained musician, you can hear keys, you can hear stuff matches, it doesn't match. I mean, I can hear beats that match, but like they say, oh, they're singing in the key or whatever, or singing. I'm like, I hear you, I understand what you said, but I can't tell an A from a B, from a C, from a D, or a Z.
Oh, ear training, pitch training. A lot of people, there's so many aspects to learn music. You got to learn pitch training. You got to learn ear training, harmonization, vocal training. There's so many different avenues of training you need to be a complete and a great musician, artist, singer, or whatever. You got to have all these different, instructions because that it'll just make it sound better for you. It'll be better for you in the long run.
Got you. I'm going to give a few shout outs and then we're going to come back to some more questions here.
Okay.
Tony Gray, how you doing? How's therapy? Joy, what's up? Robert, how you doing? Sherry Kennedy Huff-Berry is in the house. How you doing? Oh, goodness. Tawanda, what's up? Oh, goodness. Look, all these great people came out to see you. All right. DJ Dell, how you doing? All right. Okay, so let's go to the next thing here. So, okay, now you listen differently than, let's say, I do. But who are some of your favorite artists from back in the classics, maybe some today's stuff? And not necessarily limited to house music, but just who are some of the great singers as far as you're concerned?
Oh man, it's a wide variety of artists, man. I love just about everything. I was so into it. So I loved Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, Aretha Franklin, Luther Vandross, the Barcades, Rick James, Prince, Michael Jackson. I mean, it goes down to, you just go through all the artists that were out there, doing their thing. Anybody that was good and had, the potential to be great, I was listening to them. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Philip Bailey, Maurice White, Cameo.
Word up. Anyway. Now, how about this? So you have this tremendous musical background, hip hop, R&B, rock, like so many different influences. How did you get into house music? How did that happen?
Well, I got into house music at the end of being a DJ, really, because when I got into house, I would go to the clubs and everything. I didn't go to Zanzibar, I didn't go to Paradiso and Sensations, but I used to go to Cheetah Club a lot.
Okay.
And I had a friend, his name was Fahim. He hung out with Larry Patterson.
Okay.
So he would go over to Cheetahs and just hang out in Cheetahs a lot. Almost just about every weekend. But it was like in the early days of house music, in the mid 80s, 83 or 85, 86 in that area. But I was still DJing, but I kind of got bored with DJing and everything. And I had a whole lot of house music. I was doing parties and helping people out and stuff like that, DJing at parties and stuff. But I kind of got bored with it. And then I just got in. I went to school. I went to school and then learned how to use the equipment, because I really didn't have a lot of proficiency at working mixing boards and all that kind of stuff. So I had to go into that whole technical side of producing music, and I went into it, and I was a student, and learned how to do it and use it. But it wasn't until years later that I really started getting out here trying to do it and produce and do all these things. So, but I was a DJ, and so I was DJing parties when the house music was really big, so around the time, when Marshall Jefferson was hitting it big, and that's what I was doing at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a person who's been around, you've been around really from the door when you look at it, where do you see house music going?
Oh man, house has went in so many different directions. You know, you got so many different categories of house music. You know, you got techno, you got EDM, rave, progressive house, you got hard house, you got bass house, you got so many different, you know, just from that era, house music has went into multiple directions. You know, you can go so many different ways with house. You know, it's not limited to me, it's unlimited to me.
Right.
You can play house music, you can just put that beat, you know, that house beat, and just throw some percussion in there. And, you know, it'll just take you wherever, you know. It'll take you to Afro, it'll take you to EDM, it'll take you to rave, it'll take you in multiple different directions.
Right. So you see.
So it's ever expanding to me. It's ever expanding.
Okay. Hey guys, for you who are on the live, I'm asking you to share, tag people, share to your groups, share. We have King T Finesse on right now. Okay, let me ask you the next question. Okay. Name some of the tracks that you've done that you pretty much did just you. Name some of the tracks.
Okay. All right. So I got a track that I put out about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. It's called The King's Vision.
Okay.
And it has a lot of trumpets. It has a trumpet melody, you know, it has some basic house, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it has like a trumpet melody. And I'm finding today, I've released it on this DJ site, and it's doing really, really well, you know, more than I expected. But, you know, when I check the algorithms on different distribution sites, it's doing really well. So that song, nobody probably even heard the song, but it's doing really good. It's called The King's Vision.
The King's Vision. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't send it to you. I sent some other stuff to you. I didn't send that one.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. Going through my papers. The King's Vision.
I put out a couple songs this year. I think I put out like maybe 10 or 11 tracks this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but that was one of them that I put out, you know. It's doing really good right now. I'm looking at the algorithms and the stats on it, and it's doing really good.
Okay. Now, how about people that you've collaborated with? Name some people.
Well, I got MC Brown Eyes, who's a rapper, you know, and she's peers with MC Light, Dougie Fresh, you know, those kind of rappers and stuff like that. And we also do a podcast as well every month. That's on the hip hop side, but on the R&B side, you know, there's myself, and I had a spoken word artist, Indigo Moon, who did a couple things with me. I had a song called "Hypnotized" last year, which was an R&B track, which did really well. And then we did a song with her called "Indigo Moon Rising," which was the house record with an Afro beat that did really, really well. And prior to that, I had a song with Crystal Lavelle.
Okay.
Which was called "We Came Too Far," which was really good because it was on like a gospel type, you know, feel, house gospel type sound. It was really good. A lot of people really was digging it. Then you go back a couple of years again. I had Anaya Weathers. We did a couple together. And who else did I have? This person, we never got the chance to put this song out, but anyway, yeah. So that was basically it, you know. And then myself, you know, yeah. And Ariel Shante, I can't forget her too. Ariel had a song out called "Guess What," and that was big too. That song was like, I found out a year later how well that song had did overseas. And you know, I couldn't believe it because it was like almost number. It was like it was on an internet show. I think it was like in the top 10. So I was proud of that. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there any artists on your bucket list? Or
at the moment, no. I'm just focusing on a lot of different things I got going on. I got so many things going on. You know, like I said, I do a podcast every month with Brown Eyes, MC Brown Eyes. We've been working on that ever since January. It's called Community Vibes with MC Brown Eyes.
Okay.
And, you know, I've been writing songs. You know, I just write a lot of songs. I spend a lot of time. I'm 24 hours with music. So I spend a lot of time writing songs and researching and, you know, finding the right things to use to make my sound as good as I could possibly make it sound. So, yeah, I'm not really looking to work with anybody, you know, and I got a lot of other things going on. I'm kind of like, with the movies. I was in 2 movies in 2019. They released in 2021 and 22. And I got another movie that we're working on this month, and it'll actually be my first speaking role in a movie. And also I'm launching a product line for merchandise, and somewhere down the line, maybe a cosmetic line as well.
Okay, all right. Now, a lot of people don't know that you're the one that made our theme song, the Soulful House Nation's theme song, with Ariel Shante. Now, how did you put that together? What were you thinking, or what was the mindset when you guys got together to do this?
Well, I remember me and you had a conversation one time. You were like, T, when you make these songs, you got to make sure the beat is banging. You would bang on the table. Right? Remember that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you slam your hand down on the table. Okay, so I sat down with my machine, and the machine has a lot of good drums in it, So I was like, I need something that really catches the ear, and it would make you want to feel it. You could feel that percussive, beat. And being that percussion was my first instrument, I'm kind of rhythmic with it. So, I set out to make something, really percussive, that would stick to you, and when you heard it, you would really, get into it. It'll make you want to move. Based off of what I heard you say when you was banging on that table. So I was like, I got to keep my man, satisfied with this beat. So I brought it to Ariel.
Yeah.
And then Ariel was like, oh yeah, I like this, and then she started singing, she said, what did he say? He said, get ready, get ready, get ready. So we fooled with it for a few minutes. And then she, with her voice, she's got that Aretha Franklin type voice.
Right.
So she started singing it, and I was like, oh shit, that's it right there. So we laid it down, and look at it today. It's still going strong.
Yeah. We open up the show every week with it. That's right. Wow. Now,
and that beat is infectious, and it did really well. We put it out, we put it out on iTunes and Spotify and all these different places and everything, and it did really well. It's still doing really well, and this is like 4 years later.
It's been 4 years already. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Time flying. You're having fun. Now, talk to us about what it takes to produce. What's your process, King T Finesse?
My process. I don't listen to a lot of radio, so anything that I produced, it usually comes from my mind, what I'm feeling, my heart, my emotions or whatever. So it's organic, it's an organic, thing. I don't listen to the radio too much. I don't know what's going on the radio a lot.
Okay.
It's my internal rhythmic ability that I try to relay into my music.
Okay.
And that's where I start. So I start with a chord progression.
Okay.
Now
for us lay people, when you say you start with a chord progression, what does that mean?
The chords, I start with chords. If you understand chords, so I'll use a certain chord progression, G, F, D, A.
Got you.
And I'll just lay it down, and it depends on what it is. It could be a minor seventh, it could be a suspended or augmented, or just a straight, chord progression. And after that, it has to sound some type of way. So when I do that, I'll listen to it for a few seconds, and then from there, I'll just like envision in my mind, something that I could say that could become a hook. Right? Gotcha. And then that's how the song starts to form. Yeah. And then from there I'll add more percussions, I'll add a click track or a hi-hat or something, or some percussion, and build off of that, and then just keep it going. Yeah. Now, add a melody, and that's basically how I do it.
Okay. Now, do the lyrics ever pop into your head? You say, "Ooh, I got to write something to that," or typically it's you hear the music first and then you add the words.
It could go either way. Actually, it could go either way because I could be somewhere out walking down the street or something, I'm visual, so I'll see something or somebody doing something weird or whatever, and 9 times out of 10 I'll try to turn that into a song. That's just my art, my creative artistic process. I look and observe at things, and I just try to turn it into a song. So,
Right.
any little thing, it could be anything.
Hey, listen, I wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here it go. Anyway. Anyway. Hey, Kim, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. All righty. DJ Dell is in the house. What's up? Okay. Yeah, ask everybody again, continue to share to your group, share. Okay, how about this? Do you take on other artists, or like and produce them, give them tracks or lyrics or whatever? Do you take on other artists?
Yeah, I can take on other artists. I can take on anything really. But it just depends on the person. Like you got to have a set skill level in order for me to really want to work with you. You know what I mean? Because some people don't have the skill level, and then they don't have the skill level. It might be a little difficult to try to complete what you're doing.
See, I was thinking I had hope, but there it goes. Anyway, now what about this? As far as being a producer, because you decided that you wanted to be a producer, what does it take? Is it time? Is it energy? Some combination? What does it take to be a good producer?
Man, today it takes a whole lot.
Okay.
A whole lot today, man. You gotta have a lot of hours at doing whatever it is you're going to try to do. If it's singing, you gotta have 10,000 hours of singing. If you're going to write, have 10,000 hours of writing. You're going to produce, play instruments. You got to have 10,000 hours. If you're going to mix, engineer, whatever it is you do. I mean, even if you're the cable guy, even if you're a roadie, whatever it is, you need to have 10,000 hours at any of that to be proficient and successful at what it is you're going to be doing in music. That's the basics.
Yeah, I'll tell you. There is a guy by the name of Malcolm Gladwell who wrote a book, and he wasn't the first one to say it, but he got very, very popular for saying about the 10,000 hours. But now here's the thing, though. See, a lot of people, and I see it with me too. All right, dabbling and being very good at something are two different things. So a lot of people say they can do a lot of things, and they can do a lot of things. But if you want to go to the next level, and you want to be that guy, that lady, then you got to get 10,000 hours in. You agree?
Oh yeah. You got to put the work in. Big market, man. You got to put the work in like you wouldn't even believe. There's so much work you got to put in. There's so many different things you need to know. You're better off having a team. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many things you got to do,
Right.
But me on my own, from how I do it, I do everything. I do all my everything, and I should actually have a team. But I don't. I do everything myself. But you need a team. You really need a team out here today, because if you look at any A-list artist that's out here that's completely successful, they're not doing it alone. It might look like they're doing it alone, but trust me when I tell you, you need a team.
So let me ask you.
Teamwork is what makes the dream work.
Yes. So if you had to say to somebody, hey, look, if you really want to get good, then you focus on the part that you do and then get other people to do those other parts. Would you say that's a fair, based on what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
team together?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I just as a little divergent for a minute. Like I know, like I'm a guy, I'm a person that can look out into the future. I can see something, I can put it together, I can work the bugs out. But I'm not the guy day to day. there's people who do that. In other words, they are like in business, you call them operations people. I mean, these people can come in day after day after day after day and do the same thing over and over and over. Watch that thing. And with me, that drive me nuts. Like once I got the project up and running, and they go all the bugs at it, I'm ready for the next thing. The plus of that is that it always keeps you moving forward. This is how I move forward. The minus of it is that I don't know that you become an expert. You know, you don't get the 10,000 hours. The 10,000 hours doesn't come from the doing it. The 10,000 hours coming from the dreaming it. If that makes any sense to you. Anyway, just figured I'd have a conversation with you. Anyway.
Right.
Oh yeah, because look, I could put 10,000 hours. No, I wouldn't put 10,000 hours in singing. I'm going nowhere with that. Anyway, okay. Anyway,
Right. I know what you're saying. I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. Now, how about this? Any producers that you've worked with and or admire, or would like to collaborate with?
I mean, that was years ago when I was working at Radio Not Studios in Harlem, New York. I was in there with Leroy Burgess.
Oh, sure.
From Black Ivory, Leroy
Mhm.
Burgess.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Johnson from the Parliament Funkadelics.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically it. But everything else has been on me. I had to learn what I learned. I was a student, and eventually it took me a long time to develop, what I was learning and then mastering, what I'm doing today. It don't come overnight. So if you think it's overnight, trust me when I tell you, it ain't overnight. There's no overnight success in any entertainment business.
And that's the 10,000 hours again. That's just to get good at the craft. That's not counting. You still got to market it and sell it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, how about this? Now, I guess you did mention that you produce and you make other types of music.
Let me say this. I've had offers. Let me say this before I've had offers for people heard some of the stuff that I wrote. Like I had an offer from Steely Dan. Now everybody know who Steely Dan
Sure,
is.
of course.
And I had an offer from some record companies, some big record companies that were affiliated with Gucci Mane's, Fat Joe, Snoop Dogg, and a couple of other A-list artists. I've had a lot of offers, and I'm still working on a few of them. But for the most part, I'm still consumed with so much music business that I'm involved with. So it's like, it's never enough time in the day, man. There's so much time, and so many things to do. I'm focusing on myself as well. Like I said, I'm trying to do this product line, and merchandise and stuff like that. So, I got my own business going on too.
Got you. Do you, along those lines, do you, like, in terms of musically, is there anything that you're still working on, trying to perfect? And the reason I ask you that question is because, let's say you're an artist out there. Let's say you're interested in getting producing. Is it a path that ends or a path that never ends? So is there anything that you still would like to learn how to do in that production thing that maybe...
Well, being that I've been in this stuff for so long, I'm still learning. I try to learn as much as I can on a daily basis, actually. So my learning is going to be forever. I'm not the greatest, the best, or any of that stuff, but I pick up, tips and tutorials every day. I research and I listen. So yeah, there's always a lot to learn. Techniques, tricks. There's so much to learn in music. You got studio techniques, recording techniques, tricks and tips. Even the pros use. I'm trying to get all of those things, and use them because it's all out there. But you just got to know where to find it. So yeah, I learn every day. Every day I'm sitting here. Like I said, I'm 24 hours with music. So being that I'm 24 hours with it, I research how to make vocals sound better. And that's my main thing. The mixing and the overall product. And how it's going to sound overall. That's what I try to work on to perfect.
Now, what do you hear in a song that most people don't or can't hear? What do you hear? Like for me, I hear what I hear. I see what I see. What's your perspective as a person with a trained ear? What do you hear?
Well, trained ear. You could probably hear orchestrated counter melodies.
Okay, right there. Absolutely not. Now, if they sound terrible, then I got that. If they should be
Yeah.
relegated to the shower, like then I'm clear on that. I know. But like, yeah, I mean, you hear nuances that average Joe can't hear. Like, what might? Yeah, so you mentioned orchestrated melody.
Even in my own products, sometimes, like this last song that I put out, that I just recently released.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for love? To me,
Right.
it would have been done like maybe 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kept trying to perfect it, and I'm a perfectionist, so I kept trying to perfect it, and I was saying to my girl, "Do you think this sounds right?" And she was listening to it, and she was like, "I don't hear anything wrong with it." But for me being a perfectionist, I kept like thinking that it was off. Something was off, but I couldn't really pinpoint what it was because I used everything to make it sound as great as I could make it sound. But for some reason, my mind was playing tricks on me. So I had to step back a couple times. I had mixed it and, went through that whole process and had it finished and then went back and listened to it again. And it was like, it's ready. And then boom, it wasn't ready. Then it was ready again. And then I went and edited it or, redid a vocal over or something, and then you get caught up in doing that for so many times. And then you're like, all right, well, you know what? You gotta finish now. You know what I'm saying? You got to get to that finish, and just put it out,
Right.
But it kind of like, it had me, really digging deep. And I was okay with that because I was challenging myself.
Now, how do we get younger people in to the house music scene? What's your thoughts?
You get young people in by making things or making songs that's relatable to their culture. Their time period, their time frame. They're gonna hear things, but if it's not relatable, they're not gonna take an interest in it.
Does that mean lyrically? Does that mean musically? Does it mean what does that mean? Just
I would say lyrically, lyrically, yeah. It's got to be lyrically, yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk movies. Now, you were in 2 movies and you're working on another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What movies were you in? What part did you play?
This movie is called Delusional,
Okay.
and it was shot in 2019. And it was only a cameo role. I just played a psychiatric patient, that was in this psychiatric ward,
Okay.
But it was a cameo, it was
No
a small.
comment. Go ahead.
And I enjoyed it, had fun with it. A friend of mine was involved with it.
Okay.
We went over to New York and shot the movie or whatever, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I had fun with it,
Okay.
I got my feet wet in something different than music.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, so I got my feet wet in something other than music. It was,
Okay, got you.
film, cinema, and like I said, it was just a cameo appearance, but I played a psychiatric patient.
Okay, all right. And how about Samland?
Samland was 2019 as well. We went out to Los Angeles. We shot that one, and I played an immigrant applicant. A person that would, was going to apply for citizenship in the United States.
Okay, interesting.
And both of those movies, let me tell you, they're both available on Apple, one of the Apple services, and Amazon as well. So if you want to check them out, you can find them on Amazon and Apple.
Okay, it's Delusional and Samland.
Yes, directed by Joseph Areola. Delusional was directed by Joseph Areola.
Okay.
And Samland was directed by Juan Pablo Reyes.
Okay.
So if you do a search, then you find their names, and you're at the right place.
Okay. Now, how about the new movie you got? You're gonna be taking a speaking part in.
Yeah, the new movie is called Nexus Unveiling. It was actually called the Revelations Unveiling. So it's like a sci-fi, type of movie, but I actually play a political activist in this movie.
I can see that.
Look forward to that because I'm actually going to get paid for being.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Now,
so that forward to that. That'll be my film acting speaking debut.
all right now. All righty. Now, what can we expect from you going forward? Projects, events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, not only do I do house music, like I said, I do funk, I do R&B too. So
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of everything. I think I did enough house music in the last couple of months. I'm gonna dip back into a little bit of R&B funk like I've been doing. I'll put out 3 or 4 songs, R&B, house or whatever. I'll just kind of rotate them. I just put them out differently. I'll put out another R&B, house, funk or whatever. I'll just keep doing it. And every so often, I'll just keep pushing them out. Like I said, I'm 24 hours with it, so I got a ton of music that I write. I'm writing constantly, writing every day. It's like second nature for me.
All right. Now, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share? Anything you want to emphasize?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be successful with music today, I mean, I see a lot of people out here, they're writing songs and everything, and you gotta you gotta write things that's relatable.
Okay.
That's the number one thing to any good song. If you're a songwriter, producer, whatever, make sure that your song is relatable, that people can remember what you're singing or have sang, after it's all over and done,
Right.
And that's what constitutes a great song. It's something that's relatable to people. People want to be able to relate to what it is you're singing or whatever.
Right. Hey, you know what? That also applies, believe it or not, if you think about it, to comedy too. If you look at the great comedians, when they start to tell, you know exactly what they're talking about. You know Uncle Bill. You know about that kid. You know about that relationship. You know exactly what they're talking about. So that's
Right.
You raise a good point there. Wow. Hey. All right. If people want to follow you, support you, keep up with you, how do they do it?
Well, you can find me on most of social media. I'm on everything, just about. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on iTunes. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Pandora. I'm everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. I'm everywhere. You just put my name in a Google search, and you'll see me pop up. So.
All right. Well, listen, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to ask.
My pleasure.
Listen, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the gentleman. Anytime you hear Soulful House Nation, this is the gentleman that put that track together. He, along with Ariel Shante, and they're the ones that did this for us. Actually, a few years ago.
Ariel Shante, man, because she did her thing on that too.
Yes. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just say thanks again to King T Finesse. Go check him out on all the different sources. We're gonna end this part of the show. As you know, we're gonna go into the Shazam Free Zone. I'm gonna ask everybody to go over to Twitch. We're gonna run the Twitch thing until and we don't have to worry that we'll run this until they shut us down. We're gonna go on to Twitch right now. And I just want to say thanks again, King T Finesse, for for what you do, for putting this music together for us. And hey, we're going to see you around. We'll keep talking. I don't know. Maybe one day I will be able to sing. I'm kidding.
Hey, I got the auto tune for you. Don't worry.
All right, sir. Here we go.
Hey, thanks for everybody for tuning in to come check me out. It's beautiful. Thanks a lot. I appreciate all of y'all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go. We're going to lead this segment off here with a song that actually, technically, has not been released as we start the Shazam Free Zone. Here we go. This is called Are You Ready for Love? It's our special guest did this. This is King T Finesse. Not released yet, but we got it here. Thanks again, King T Finesse.
Welcome.